The sun was just beginning to set, casting a warm golden hue over the city as I sat with my friends on the rooftop. We had planned this for weeks, our own little adventure into the unknown. With a mix of excitement and trepidation, I placed the tiny, colorful tab of LSD on my tongue. We laughed, clinked our drinks together, and settled in to enjoy the evening. The first signs were subtle, a heightened sense of color, an unusual clarity in the sounds around me. The city below seemed alive in a way I had never noticed before, each car's honk and distant conversation blending into a symphony. I felt a profound sense of connection with everything, a euphoria that made my heart race with joy. My friends and I shared wide-eyed smiles, marveling at the beauty of our surroundings. As the effects deepened, the lines between reality and hallucination began to blur. The sunset stretched into a kaleidoscope of colors, swirling and merging in impossible patterns. The city lights twinkled like stars, casting playful shadows that danced around us. I closed my eyes, letting the vibrant visuals wash over me, feeling like I was floating in a sea of light. But then, something shifted. The colors darkened, the playful shadows grew ominous. I opened my eyes, and the world had changed. The once beautiful patterns now seemed jagged and threatening. The sounds of the city, which had been a comforting hum, turned into a dissonant, grating noise that clawed at my mind. My friends' faces twisted and contorted, their laughter echoing eerily. Panic surged through me as I struggled to find my footing in this distorted reality. I looked at my friends, hoping for reassurance, but their faces were grotesque, eyes wide and mouths stretched into unnatural grins. I stumbled to my feet, the rooftop tilting beneath me. The city below seemed to pulse and breathe, a living entity watching me with malevolent intent. I had to get out. I had to escape this nightmare. I stumbled towards the stairwell, my movements clumsy and uncoordinated. The walls around me seemed to close in, the narrow stairwell stretching into an endless tunnel. Each step echoed loudly, a sinister drumbeat that matched my racing heart. The air felt thick and suffocating, every breath a struggle. As I descended, the shadows seemed to come alive, reaching out with clawed hands. I swatted at them desperately, my mind screaming that it wasn't real, but the terror was overwhelming. Faces emerged from the darkness, twisted and mocking, whispering my name. The voices were familiar yet distorted, a chorus of friends and strangers telling me I would never escape. I burst out into the street, gasping for air. The city was unrecognizable. Buildings loomed like ancient monoliths, their windows glowing with an eerie, sickly light. People moved in slow motion, their faces obscured by shadows, their movements jerky and unnatural. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears, a deafening drum that drowned out all other sound. I ran, the world around me warping and twisting with each step. The street seemed to stretch on forever, a never-ending labyrinth. The faces in the windows watched me, eyes glowing with a sinister light. I could feel their gaze burning into my skin, their whispers growing louder, more insistent. My legs burned with exhaustion, but I couldn't stop. I had to keep moving. Suddenly, I was back at the rooftop, the same place I had fled from. My friends stood there, their faces twisted into grotesque masks of amusement. They reached out for me, their hands elongating, fingers like claws. I backed away, my mind reeling. This couldn't be happening. I had to wake up. I had to escape this endless loop. The ground beneath me crumbled, and I fell into darkness. I was in my childhood home, but it was wrong. The walls were decayed, the air thick with the smell of rot. Shadows lurked in the corners, whispering secrets in my ear. I stumbled through the house, the familiar yet horrifying scenes playing out before me. My parents, their faces twisted with anger and sorrow, reached out for me, blaming me, accusing me. I ran again through a door that led to another nightmare. I was in a forest, the trees towering like giants, their branches clawing at the sky. The ground was a carpet of writhing snakes, their hisses filling the air. I could feel them slithering over my feet, their cold scales brushing against my skin. I screamed, but no sound came out. I fell to my knees, the world spinning around me. My mind was a maelstrom of fear and confusion. There was no escape, no end to the nightmare. I was trapped in an endless loop of terror, each scene more horrifying than the last. The faces, the whispers, the shadows, they were all closing in, suffocating me. In a moment of clarity, I realized the truth. This was my reality now. There was no waking up, no escape, I was doomed to wander this nightmarish landscape for eternity, a prisoner of my own mind. The horror of that realization was more than I could bear. My screams echoed through the darkness, blending with the whispers, the laughter, the hisses. And then, there was nothing, just an endless, suffocating void, an eternity of terror with no hope of escape.